Hey everyone.
What's up, guys?
Welcome to another episode of Eigenbros. This week we're talking about asteroid mining as an industrial endeavor.
Indeed.
And I guess we get into some of the details of what that would entail, how it would shape the economy in some way, right?
Yeah, we talked about economics, politics with it involved.
Yeah.
I guess we do talk a good bit about all the sectors there.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I mean, because, this is a physics-facing podcast, so this is directly related to that, because, like, you more than likely, if you're a physicist or even like an engineer or something,
you're gonna have to deal with politics.
You're also gonna have a job if you want to go into space mining.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's some. This might maybe awaken some interesting insights for you or companies that you may be able to apply for in the future. Because I mean, it's very real. I mean, me and Juan kind of talk about what we think, is gonna happen
off
with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then we ended with a little bit of Star Wars talk because, we're talking about potential wars and conflict that'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now we naturally got into the actual Star Wars new trilogy.
So about the 45-minute mark, if you haven't seen the new Star Wars, then you can turn it off for spoilers.
Yeah.
So we do go into it pretty in depth.
Yeah. And then we talk about the overall scheme of Star Wars and stuff. Comparing it to the older trilogies, and where this new trilogy has its place in all those with respect to those. So, if you're kind of a Star Wars fan in some way, then stay tuned, and don't forget to like, share,
subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Make sure you guys check out the website eigenbros.com. I actually put up some math integrals on there, so if you guys want to check out some cool math integrals, it's I got some from the Flammable Maths YouTube channel, some really hard integrals. Then we also have the Twitter, which is at Eigenbros. We have the TikTok Eigenbros 2, and then we also have Instagram. So check all that out, guys, and we will see you in a bit.
3, 2, 1. We're live.
We are back.
Welcome to another episode of Eigenbros.
What's up, folks?
I hope everything is going okay with you all. Today, we were about to get into an argument about...
Juan was putting his hands up for a second.
Something about... Well, this episode, if the introduction wasn't enough, I guess we'll talk about
something in the intro.
We're talking about asteroids and potential Star Wars. No, I'm just kidding. I guess
specifically we're talking about asteroid mining.
Yeah.
That's the
But then I wanted to talk about the Star Wars movie.
Yeah. So Juan diverted us a little bit.
Yeah. So please bear with us for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we can probably carry this out for if we need to, an hour and a half at least. So
and then pop in some asteroid mining stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, you would get...
I'm saying we could actually record for an hour and a half if we need to. So,
I see. Well, you might get some potential Star Wars from clashes with asteroid mining, right?
You would.
You would, right?
That's why I thought it would be relevant.
It is relevant.
Because it's interstellar stuff, Star Wars is all about that kind of thing. Yeah. So why not,
Why not? Okay. So you did a little bit of research, first of all.
On the asteroid mining? Yeah.
So can you give us like a quick rundown of what it means, like politically? What goes into all of this, like mining asteroids? There's a lot of regulations, right? Like that have
there
to be in
are
place.
some regulations. I didn't really actually look into much of like regulation and policy. I think FCC would probably be in charge of that stuff.
Really? I would think the UN would come together and make some kind of...
The UN has some things involved there too, because they have an agreement. I think there's like 18 nations or some handful of nations have an agreement where the moon is designated like a its own land that's unowned by anyone in the world. So it's kind of like a collective ownership of Earth.
Socialism, folks.
But then again, I don't really buy that. Like, because imagine if the U.S. really wanted the moon, like who's going to stop us, right?
Yeah.
So these things are still like in its infancy, right? I don't know if any policy really has much effect when it comes to interstellar stuff still.
Yeah.
besides like, you know, what airspace you can travel in and that kind of thing.
Right.
But asteroid mining, the whole thing behind it is, to put it simply, we want to mine asteroids in the future to be able to get a bunch more resources than we would have to the availability on Earth.
Typically, this is like rare earth metals, right?
This is anything. So this is like, you could get platinum, gold, silver. You get
we're talking about like,
iron, copper,
yeah,
and even water. So water is probably one of the primary resources for asteroid mining. So it's a very, very lucrative endeavor potentially. And I think after all the research I've done on it, I have a feeling that this is one of the big major what would you say, the major realms of the future. I think we're going to be for
industry.
I think so. I think it's convinced me more and more that I was looking at it now and seeing all the companies that are involved. I think this is going to be a big step in our future trajectory.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe this will usher in a post-scarcity era, but
it kind of will. It will in some
make
sense.
Things really cheap.
Maybe not. So the thing is, it will make things cheaper. There's a couple ways to do it. So you can either, let's say if you get an asteroid, right, you can either capture it and bring it to Earth,
or put it into orbit.
You can put it into orbit. That's kind of not really necessary though, because you can just mine the asteroid where it is. So that's called in situ, I think. Resource collection is what they call it. So in situ is the Latin, I think, for at where it's at.
Where it's in its environment.
Yeah, it's like that. So you're not moving the asteroid, basically, is what that means. And that in situ way is supposed to make it so that the value of the asteroid is still retained. Because if you brought it to Earth, let's say, you actually now crashed all of those resources to such a level that they actually are very low in value because they're so abundant now. So you have to find this, you have to strike a balance between keeping the resource valuable, but also making it more available. So keeping it in space and actually mining it that way seems to be what people think is going to be the actual future of how to do this.
Oh, so you're going to be working to keep things scarce in a way.
Yeah, you need to keep it somewhat scarce. So it's like you'll have it available, but you know, if you have to actually mine it, you have to transport it to, like, let's say the moon or something en route to the moon, and then the moon transports it to Earth. That's a lot of steps for still keeping the value high, right? Because you need to pay the workers, you need to actually pay for the fuel. Well, actually, you can use the asteroid for fuel, but you need to pay for that process to where it's still going to cost money.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have that abundance of resource, though, means that companies are going to be willing to shell out money to actually get those resources and use them at a higher rate.
Interesting. So this is an untapped potential for a $1 trillion industry or something.
That's exactly what it is. People call it the $1 trillion industry. So the people who are going to be making the trillions are going to be the ones who are setting up the infrastructure, like SpaceX, Blue Origin, the billionaires on the I think it's called something like Planetary something Incorporated. I forget what it's called.
Yeah. So all these people, all these billionaires and whatever, they're stepping in early. They want to be the new Rockefellers. They want to be the new oil tycoons.
They call it the new gold rush. It's like the new the space gold rush, essentially, is what it's going to be. And I mean, I can see the writing on the wall. It seems pretty legitimate to me. I couldn't really think of what would stop it besides affordability.
Yeah.
But what we've already seen with like the Falcon 9s and SpaceX already shows that it looks likely that they're going to be able to make things affordable. So the affordability into getting into space is kind of one of the big roadblocks, or was one of the big roadblocks. Money.
How far off does that look, though, in the future, I guess?
Some people were saying decades.
Decades. I mean, not a century.
Or something. Not a century. And I mean, that seems likely to me as well. Like, just looking at the trajectory, we've already got companies that are making some of the equipment for it, some of the main equipment, like... there's a company I think called Transastra. You might have to look that up, but I think I included a link there. They actually created a optical miner. So
basically a laser that. I mean,
in a little bit, it's not. I wouldn't call it a laser. Okay. It's just basically directing sunlight to actually mine. So how we typically when we mine normal ore on Earth, it's with a drill. This would be so the problem is with asteroids, they have microgravity because an asteroid can be like, let's say, like it's a millionth of the size of what Earth would be, right? So it's going to have such a small gravity that you cannot actually drill on it without the whole thing just breaking apart. So what they do is they actually
F equals ma, baby.
Yeah, so they want to encase it inside of this equipment where they can actually mine it with light rays directed onto it. So those light rays actually will burn up the rocky material and the metallic material, and then it will evaporate the water inside those asteroids. And then they can use that water for fuel. They can use that metal and rock for other things. And it's just a really nice and efficient way to actually mine those asteroids for the resources that you need.
Wow, space physicists.
And they're already developing that with the company Transastra.
Nice. So that's potentially a new industry opening up for physicists, I imagine, right? Because and engineers and all this stuff.
Yeah. Physicists, engineers. I mean, it looks very feasible. Like nothing stood out to me that was like, oh, this is a huge hurdle to get over. Everything seems like a logical pathway towards possibility. And there's people working on it. There's a handful of companies that are already putting money and time and resources into this thing. And like I said, like the billionaires like Sergey Brin or
Virgin,
maybe not
Airlines
Sergey.
guy?
It was one of the Google guys. I forget who it is. Maybe not Sergey. The other one.
I'm sure that's not
the
his
Virgin
name.
guy. Yep. Whatever his name is,
Sergey?
blonde dude. Huh?
Sergey.
Is
that what you call him?
No, Sergey Brin is the
It's a very
Google
suspect
guy.
name, Terence. I don't know if I believe you.
It's not a troll name, I swear.
Wow, he must have been bullied.
But I don't know if that's the guy. There's two founders of Google, and I don't remember the other guy. But yeah, there's people putting money into this, and then of course we know Elon Musk is doing the reusable rockets, and then of course the same with Blue Origin and Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, the reusable rockets thing is probably the one that seems the most like front facing towards asteroid mining to me.
It's definitely like one of the preliminary steps, I think, because it's actually allowing you to cheapen now the transport to and fro of goods to actually create infrastructure to make in situ resource collectors possible. So that's going to be a big one. And I think that's why Elon Musk chose that pathway too. It was a very smart pathway to choose because this is like the very first stages, right? So you need to have a way to transport resources to and from space pretty easily.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I think that's really a smart way to go. And I think that's why Jeff Bezos is doing the same.
Well, you're going to run into, pretty soon there'll be trillions of dollars that these companies are going to amass. And then pretty soon they'll have political influence. And then, you might have different individuals.
They've already got political influence.
Yeah. But I'm saying even more so because now you would have presumably different people from different nationalities that also have money in asteroid mining. Who knows? I'm just saying, like rich people from across the world.
Maybe.
Like there was that famous Mexican guy who had who the richest man alive. Did you know this? For some time, he just made his wealth off of payphones.
No, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, he just owned a bunch of payphones.
Wow, that's brilliant. Easy money.
Yeah, back in the day when you used to you pay 50 cents or 25 cents to make a phone call, and then collect whatever.
And that was him.
And that was him.
Damn.
I forget his name, but yeah, he's probably not rich now. Money.
What do you say that?
Because it's hard to maintain wealth.
Is it hard to maintain billions? I think that's really, you got to be really stupid to fuck up billions. Especially if you're a guy who created the billions, then I doubt you would lose it. The people who lose billions are the ones that are trust fund kids.
Well, he's not on the list anymore, I think. I mean, those guys.
Well, he could have just been knocked down to like 10 billion.
Yeah. But I mean, with phone, like if that was he would have had to transfer his wealth into something else because payphones are pointless.
Well, he can transfer his money into just investment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You can literally just sit on top of your money and just make money.
Yeah.
At that point, there's no way to lose it unless you're really fucking up.
Yeah,
I find it really hard to believe.
It's like the Blockbuster situation, where it's like,
well, they were stupid though.
You don't adapt to the market in a way. So that's kind of.
But they also,
I suspect that's what he did. What happened to him?
Maybe, I'm not sure. I can't really comment.
But anyway, my point is that he actually, what was my point bringing it up? I totally forgot.
That you were saying different nationalities and people are.
Yeah. He might, wealth. If it was him, he might be like, okay, I'm going to start a space company, space mining company, and then then he has political influence, and then say there's an asteroid or something, or how do you divvy up resources in that way? And then pretty soon we're going to get into conflict, I imagine.
Yeah, maybe. But the thing is, it should be a capitalistic conflict.
Mm-hmm. No, but there will be influence. Imagine if one guy from another nationality kills, or just, I don't know. I guess at first it'll be kind of like the Wild West.
Yeah. And I think all these treaties and agreements on who owns what in space are going to go flying out the window when people realize, I could just lay claim to all this stuff. I don't see why anybody would ever be beholden to that.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was a company like, space or something, I wouldn't give a fuck. I mean, I would just build as much shit as I could on the moon if if that was one of the... Well, and I say that because the moon is one of those places where they think that you can get a lot of water from the caps on the moon, and that's very valuable. Mm-hmm. And you can actually build colonies then, because you can have sustainable ways for people to actually have water and fuel and a fuel source for their rockets. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it just seems like someone's going to start claiming like celestial bodies, asteroids, moon, maybe even sections of interstellar space as their own.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I hope it happens within our lifetime.
I hope so too. I mean, because imagining it now, if you and I, we're not going to live to the turn of the century, maybe, unless science advances to a level where
Yeah, never say never.
Never say never.
Bieber.
But Bieber, Justin Bieber, never say never. Because if you and I had kids now, like we had a baby next year or this year.
Mm-hmm. Us together?
Their lifetime, exactly. Their lifetime. We adopted a baby this year, an Eigenbaby.
Yeah, Eigenbaby.
We just adopted an Eigenbaby this year.
The greatest podcaster ever born.
Yeah, exactly. And they turned one into... Their lifetime expectancy would be 80 years or so, considering like the life expectancy now.
Is it only 80?
At least 80 years.
Okay,
at least. They would live to the year 3000.
Right.
Yeah, which is...
fucking insane.
Yeah. So, I mean...
sounds like a joke number.
It does. The Jonas Brothers, I think they had a song called The Year 3000 or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Actually, I don't know if they lived at 3001. That's bad math, because...
80, bro. Oh, my bad. I'm stupid. I was thinking...
We're both dumb, because I didn't catch that in time. It's that pizza.
Yeah,
the pizza we ate.
I actually am slightly hungover. No, but
they'll live to 2100 or or more.
My bad. They would have to live. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna clip this all out. Bloopers.
Physicists can be stupid.
No. Yeah, they would live to 2100, and
there you go.
Yeah, dude, and it would be. I mean they seem to put it on a level where this would be happening at that point, at the very least, right? Like we're like maybe 30 years. We're like 30 years maybe away from.
I could see it, man. I can see
30 years from now.
Because really, the biggest hurdles, it seems like, are just a cheap way to get into space. Mm-hmm. And like Elon Musk has already proven that. He's like proof of concept right now, right? Mm. And actually, the launch just happened today. I don't know if you got the chance to see it. No. The Crew Dragon just did the in-flight abort test today. Oh. And you guys, you can see when we actually make the podcast now if you just reference that date. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the Crew Dragon was a successful launch. And it just shows like they keep making strides towards making cheaper and cheaper ways to get into space. Although this is to get actual crew, I think, to the moon. Don't quote me on that, because I don't know if that's actually true. They might just be going in orbit, but eventually that would be one thing I think they would want to do. Yeah, is go on the moon. And if you go on the moon, that's more steps towards that. Mining the moon for water, if you want. Yeah. So there's there's obviously doing this for a reason. It's profitable at some level, or else they wouldn't be doing it, right?
There's so many pros to doing this too.
There are. It makes us. I feel like it makes us really like legit getting close to Star Wars level.
Yeah, and it makes us. It makes us an interstellar. It would make us an intergalactic, and push us to be intergalactic.
I don't know if you can call us intergalactic, because I think intergalactic means between galaxies.
No, my bad.
So interstellar for sure, though.
What's the word?
Between stars, maybe not.
Interplanetary.
There we go. Interplanetary.
Brain farts all day today.
Yeah.
Interplanetary, yeah.
Because even stellar is, I think, unreasonable.
Maybe I think yeah.
Because I think those are light years away.
Yeah. But yeah, it's it would push us to be, in that category of what Mickey Okaku would call like a tier. Still in the tier 1? Would it be tier?
Tiers. We're still tier 0.
Tier 0.
Because the thing is, tier 0. I think the specifics is you need to master Earth's weather environment.
Oh.
And we don't have full control over weather.
But that would come, I think. Oh,
I'm not convinced it would.
But manipulating climate would have to be necessary if you want to live in another planet. But I think we don't have. For one, I think it's kind of silly for him to put that as a 0. In the climate
well, also, I don't know if he made that scale.
Oh, okay.
I think somebody else did.
Whoever made the scale, I think it's kind of silly because messing with the climate has serious implications. You can't. I mean, we do it inadvertently.
Well, I think the reason
causes chaos.
I think the reasoning behind that is because they're saying that to be truly interplanetary, you need to be able to terraform.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But I'm saying that it would make more sense to. When you have a financial incentive for terraforming,
yeah,
because right now companies don't have an incentive to terraform. Right now, I believe
no,
not necessarily.
No,
climate change is something that to most industries it just means like, well, it's too big of an impact. It's too big of a system for us to even like do anything about it.
Yeah.
You'd have to have big players like China along, and everybody would have to be on the same page. Mm-hmm. But like, nonetheless. But if a company or a corporation was, say, to buy a planet or something, or to own a planet, believe it or not.
Okay. That fucking suck.
That would suck. But,
Planet Amazon.
Planet McDonald's.
Jesus Christ.
Or actual Disney World.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Disney Planet.
That'd be sick.
Oh, that'd be fucking cool. But yeah, then they would have an interest to terraform, I think. They would have more of an interest than being on planet Earth. It wouldn't make any sense. Yeah,
but I think the scale that we're talking about here that Michikaku kind of popularized doesn't have to necessarily be because of commercialization. Mm-hmm. Like it's just an arbitrated scale to say, okay, this is what you need. This is just a classification to say say what levels might be a significant step into human progress to where we can actually consider them type 0, type 1, type 2, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it kind of makes sense, right? Because then it means now you have the ability to reshape planets the way you want them to.
Yeah.
Like if we go to space, but we're just getting minerals and resources, that's a big leap, but maybe it's not. It still doesn't mean we can actually live on another planet comfortably, right? We would still be in kind of in a more artificialized environment.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that I think we're more driven to terraform because we're interplanetary now, like financially.
Maybe so.
Yeah, as opposed to just living on Earth and.
But what were you arguing? I maybe lost it.
Just that. Like
okay.
The driver. There's no innate drive in us if you're a type 0 civilization to terraform your own planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't make any sense.
Right.
It would make sense to terraform a planet that nobody lives on.
Yeah, yeah. Because then it's a nice experiment, too. Exactly. You don't have any big costs if you fuck up.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So, but that's why I was like, I don't know if I would count that as type 0. I'd maybe put that in type 1.
Maybe it is type 1. I can't remember.
Or type 0.5 or something.
Maybe it is. I can't remember, honestly, what the steps were. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But the point is, folks, we're going to have Star Wars. We're going to have wars over resources, probably.
I'm sure we will.
More than likely, we will.
I'm sure we will. It's because when space is a new frontier and people start seeing, oh, you're taking my asteroids and stuff. But the thing is, maybe initially, maybe not so bad because there might be enough to go around, right? Because there's just so much, like how, well, I don't know, because I'm trying to think back to history, but, back in the days, I do remember when they carved up Africa and all these territories. I guess they kind of did distribute it among a bunch of different nations, and they were kind of cool with it because they're like, okay, you guys, France gets this, Britain gets this, et cetera, et cetera. But only when you start to run out of space is when people start to get a little bit more hostile. Or
like the fact that, if you look at America for people in the U.S., was England owned a very small portion of it.
Yeah.
And so
The East Coast.
The East Coast mainly, but the Spanish owned a lot of it.
Yeah, that whole West.
The whole West.
Yeah.
Pretty much the whole West. Like France owned maybe some of North America.
I think so.
Part of Louisiana or something-ish. I don't remember how it divvied up.
Was that the Louisiana Purchase?
Yeah, well, yeah. Thomas Jefferson did a purchase.
I'm really bad at history, just to throw that out there.
No, but basically the way it laid out was there were a lot of, you either had to fight in the territories, for the territories, or purchase them in some way. Although most of the course of action was, like for instance, like Texas was kind of one of these territories that wanted to be independent.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of nationalities, like Germans and English people and everybody else. And some people from Mexico that wanted independence from Spain and stuff. And yeah, so there was a lot of that too, but I imagine it's going to be like this in space colonies. I mean, human nature is not going to change.
No.
A lot of these things are going to repeat.
But we might be slightly more sophisticated where we won't like be killing each other. We might just be making like legislation and you know,
like becoming. I mean, you're going to have a situation
or
where
cyber warfare or something. I don't know.
Earth is going to be like England in some way, and then there's going to be a new planet where new governments are going to form.
I can't wait. I would so leave in an instant, because it always seemed, this is one thing, I don't know if I've discussed it on the podcast before, but a pattern I've noticed is like when a nation gets really shitty, all the cool people leave and then make it good again, make a good new better place.
Right.
And it's like a cycle just repeats. But the thing is, when you're out of space like we are on Earth, you can't run off and make another cool, improved nation.
No, you can't.
So the only frontier we have now left is to go to another planet.
Exactly.
And if we go to another planet, then all the cool people can fuck off over there, and then you make a badass new planet.
Like if you're early, this is something me and Terence talked about a lot. If you were an early listener,
that
we probably talked about it once or twice, but we this is our dream.
Yeah,
in a sense, starting a planet, and then
I'd be so on board.
Experimental forms of government and shit. That'd be cool.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway, this I kind of want to Well, I don't know if you want to. So, can you tell me more about the Goldschmidt classification? What is that?
That was kind of just something I included there, just for good measure. You'd have to even remind me what it was saying because I don't remember now.
It was developed by Victor Goldschmidt as a geochemical classification with groups of chemical elements within the Earth according to preferred host phases. Into like different kinds of like, I guess, what would you call it?
Dude, I don't even know why I included that. So I don't know what any of that means.
Okay, just forget we brought that up, folks.
I don't remember why I even put that in there.
But there was you put up this. You made a note about this other foundation, the B612 Foundation.
Oh, B612. So that was just the foundation that catalogs asteroids. So it was interesting because, I always thought about like, why don't we have a organization that keeps track of like when asteroids are coming for us and comets and all this stuff? But we actually do. It's called the B612. They're a non-governmental private organization that actually catalogs asteroids and their trajectories, their sizes, their diameters and whatnot. And then they actually see if it's going to be a threat to us. And they partner with the UN. I have the UN organization, I think, on there probably as well. I forget what it's called. And
the International Asteroid Warning Network.
There we go. Yeah. So they'll tell the UN if there's any kind of threats coming up. Although I don't really rely on them too much because we've missed several asteroids that have come real close. So I think they're still working their kinks out. But the thing is, we can use their system to be able to catalog which asteroids are actually plentiful in resources too, which is the reason why I brought them into that mix there. So there's like, I think there's a list. There might even be the list on there. There's like 5 or 6 asteroids. Maybe it's on the main asteroids page that I was telling you about earlier, Juan. But there's like 5 or 6 really targeted asteroids that are like worth several $1 billion that are on the map first to be mined. It might be on that main asteroid page.
Are these the ones that they're orbiting the Earth in some way or what?
I don't know. It's like it's like a table. You'll see of like 7 or 8 asteroids. It's further down.
Interesting.
There it is. Maybe.
No. Well, potential targets. There's Ryugu.
Yeah, Ryugu is one of the big ones, I think. Right.
Ryugu, apparently, here's a list, folks. Maybe we'll put it up for the visual listeners, but for the audio listeners, Well, I'll name the ones that are valued the most.
Yeah. There's one on there that's got crazy value.
Yeah, there's Anteros, which is $5,570 billion worth.
What's the chemicals that be or the elements that be extracted?
It includes magnesium silicate, aluminum, and iron silicate.
Yes.
And so a runner-up to that one, another potential target is 2001 CC21, and its estimated value is $147 billion. And it also has it's the same composition as the one before. I don't know why. I guess aluminum is hard to come by. I know for a fact that one is.
The magnesium silicate was also special on that list.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know
what you would use it for.
Yeah.
And industrially, we're not sure. But if you do know, leave us a comment for us to, I guess.
Because aluminum's cheap as fuck on Earth.
No, but I know that there's going to be a scarcity issue with aluminum.
Really?
I think because
why is it so damn cheap then?
No, I think the way it's being used and not most people don't recycle aluminum.
Really?
I think this is like forward-looking kind of problem. I think somebody made a comment on this one time. I don't know if it was true or not, but in any case, look it up. I guess. So that's the second one, and the third one, I guess, would be 1992 TC. And this says nickel, iron, and cobalt. And then a runner-up to that is the Ryugu one that I mentioned. But they have... That one's composition is a lot.
What's their price values?
83. So 1992 TC is 84 billion. And then Ryugu is 83. So they're pretty close in value. Yeah.
So those are the main targets, I guess.
Yeah. And most of them contain iron. I mean, there's one... These have nickel, iron, cobalt, water, nitrogen, hydrogen, and ammonia. Hydrogen being the one that's probably really valuable, right?
Yeah. I mean, the water is going to be the water is a game changer. That's probably the mission number one, it seems, for most of these organizations. They want to just mine water. Yeah. Because the fuel you can make with that is going to save a lot on the rocket costs. Because I was looking into this, and most rockets, they use RP1 fuel, which is like a kerosene mixed with liquid oxygen, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember if it's liquid oxygen or nitrogen. I think it's oxygen. But if you can extract oxygen from H2O, I mean, now you have a way to refuel in space without having to bring it all the way up with another rocket from space, so that significantly reduces the cost. I think the Falcon 9, the last thing I looked up was the Falcon 9 uses about $400,000 worth of fuel for one flight. So if you can save, it's not bad, but you can save some good money on that. You know, and
very true.
Especially refueling like the ISS and also like satellites in orbit. You can get satellites to last longer too, because satellites actually need a propulsion. I think it's a special kind of propulsion. I don't remember what it is. To keep themselves in orbit around Earth, and if you can refuel in space, then I mean that's a game changer.
And I imagine like space, the industry will create new industries more about recycling, because think about it, we have to recycle so many things, because like I think we're going to realize that in space, you know, we're obviously in a vacuum, but we're more isolated. There were things we can't necessarily go reach things, and I think technologies of like recycling water and stuff like that are going to be more important, right?
You like mean
becoming an interplanetary or anything?
Well, no, with these asteroids, you should be able to use water in an asteroid, like.
No, you should, but I'm saying, but you understand that this is scarce.
Water won't be scarce. That's what I'm saying. If you're mining asteroids, water is not going to be scarce at all.
No, I think it will be, but I'm saying you won't. But I'm saying you will necessarily. It's still going to be scarce.
But I mean, imagine this one: if you have an asteroid and you're only looking at the local region of the universe. Do you realize how much more of the universe there is to have to look like? Sure. Water's not going to be a scarce resource. That's the whole point of it.
But I'm saying you have an incentive, or especially early on, to recycle that kind of stuff, right? You don't think so? You don't think so?
Because if you can just keep mining it ad infinitum, then there is no incentive to recycle.
I think there's more of an incentive to recycle than there is to just like mine and stuff.
It could be maybe out of sheer ease of just use, because maybe you want to just have a system that recycles water, because we already do that on Earth, right? Yeah. And it's just like, okay, we might as well. Yeah. But the thing is, you won't really need to. If it's that cheap to mine it, it's like it gives you the option now to say you don't need to.
Well, if I was going to build a society, I would want to recycle as much as I could.
But like, think about it like this way. Like, imagine when we're in the lab, we recycle liquid helium, right? But we never did that when it was abundant. Nobody gave a fuck when helium was abundant.
One knew. No one knew that this would be really...
Yeah, they did.
Well, no one
We knew the reserves and what could happen. That's why we reserve it now. The thing is, when you think something's abundant, you don't care to recycle.
Yeah, but we have enough foresight to say it is. It is
now
scarce.
We do, yes. But the thing is, water is not going to be scarce with this situation. That's why I'm saying you're not going to need to recycle. It will be scarce
if you have that attitude, dude. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Just leave the water running. Just leave the water running, okay? Just like when you're brushing your teeth, don't turn off the water. Yeah, just let it run. No, I'm saying it makes more sense for them to recycle, but I get what you're saying. You're saying
it might. Like, let's say if you have a space colony right on the moon, maybe you'll recycle water because it's smarter, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have to keep mining it. Because maybe it's just like, why would you want to do that if we can just sustain ourselves just like how we do on Earth?
That's exactly what I mean. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I'm saying you don't actually have to, because if you want to mine it,
you can.
I mean, it's not like it's a finite resource. That's what I mean. The distinction here just being it's not a finite resource at that point.
I see. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah.
Effectively not finite.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that they already kind of had this category of I mean, they also have a column where it says estimated profit, and it's typically a fraction of whatever estimated value is.
Oh, I see.
I think because they do a cost benefit analysis, how much money it's going to cost.
It also depends on what the infrastructure you're going to use to actually mine is. Like, we were saying, if you bring the comet back to Earth, then your value drops significantly. Yeah. Whereas if you leave it in space, you kind of retain more of the value. Yeah.
But I imagine this column is going to change in the future.
Yeah, it could.
With development of new technologies and stuff. So I'd rather not bother you telling you that.
Yeah. We were not even close to really getting the value numbers fleshed out, really.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, as far as economic worth, that would probably stay about the same, more than likely, if not higher.
Right.
As things get more and more scarce, I guess. And then you said that there was you mentioned here in the notes there's a near Earth object surveillance satellite that we set up.
Oh, I don't know why I have that on there.
Well, like, I know Trump just started this Space Force thing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. People were memeing on it because they had the camouflage suits.
Yeah, can we have space camo, please? Just like, what is it called? The darkest material in the world?
The Vanta
black.
Or I guess it's Singularity Black now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Singularity Black. That's camo in space.
Yeah, that's sick, man. Oh, have you seen it?
Yeah.
It looks so cool.
Pictures of it? Yeah.
But of course, I don't think you can really get the same impression from it unless you see it in real life.
Right.
Which I haven't seen.
It must look
crazy.
It must look like a
it's
singularity.
Like a hole in space time.
Yeah, because there's no edges. It doesn't look like, it looks two dimensional.
Well, there's edges, but it's just like,
I imagine it looks two dimensional.
You can't see any features of anything. Yeah.
Like, it looks like a hole in space, probably. That's cool.
Yeah. I saw a video of some girl. She had a black dress that was Singularity Black. That's pretty cool.
That's cool. But yeah, I guess, so do you know what this is a response to, I guess, what Trump is doing?
Dude, I don't know what Trump's ever doing. Anything that he does is a mystery to me, so I don't know.
All right, we don't have to talk about it then, because it's kind of...
Not trying to get too political, but his brain just doesn't make sense to me, so I don't know.
I also don't know what he was thinking with that, but okay. Let's... You also brought up the United Nations Committee on the peaceful uses of outer space, and how they have a near-Earth object deflection and disaster response. Do you want to talk about that?
Say it again.
Just about the UN having a committee on, like, peaceful uses of outer space, like having a sort of agreement on how to use outer space or whatever.
I mean, I told you pretty much the extent of what I know. It's just a way to keep it so nations kind of have a neutral ground, but
so
I don't see anything really. I don't see that treaty really being meaningful though in the future.
No, I mean, the UN has no real like
you have
political
no power. Yeah.
But
and the thing is, like, whoever gets to space and is able to actually like put their feet implanted on moon rock, they have the final say, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't really mean much.
So, but they do have a list of recommendations, though. Yeah, the UN. So they say, having each country's government create a defined asteroid disaster response plan. The case, like,
now that's
useful,
but this isn't really to asteroid mining. This is about like how the response is going to be for an asteroid.
Oh, right.
Hits us.
Yeah.
That's useful.
But then, nonetheless, they still have recommendations in place. I mean, because, like, think about it. If there was a rogue, if you leave space and you're able to manipulate asteroids in a way, you have now a lot of power. You get Earth is very vulnerable. Yeah. In that state, right?
Okay. But what are you saying? Like, you could redirect it at another nation
or something?
Yeah,
right?
You could.
It leaves countries vulnerable.
That could be potentially more disastrous than any nuke would ever be, because you can literally level an entire country.
Yeah, or entire like continent if you want to.
Yeah, that's so true. But like, damn.
No, I know.
That's brutal.
But this is why. You know what? Maybe this is what Trump. Maybe he is playing 4-dimensional chess.
Yeah, sure. 4-dimensional something.
Right. He's just like, no, but that is an important step. I think, actually, having a defense system for all nations. I think so too. I think definitely. I think definitely we're going to need some kind of space defense. However, I don't know. I think it's good to. I think it's good to work those details out. Yeah, because I think it's going to be necessary soon. Yeah, because pretty soon we're gonna have to start building super soldiers to fight aliens. Yeah, and then start basically living on like halos and stuff. You know. Oh, that's like a guitar. Yeah. Oh man, that's gonna be awesome. But yeah, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that future, and I'm ready for Reagan. Actually, he had a policy I think he started called Star Wars.
I remember that back in the day. I thought it was like a defense weapon, wasn't it? Yeah. And people didn't want him to build it though, so he scrapped it or something because it was maybe making
It would probably cost too much
tensions
money.
or something. I don't remember.
But that too. I mean, it puts you, because it put America in a position where it's like, okay, now, what, you're going to shoot lasers at countries or something?
Right.
It would have to be. This is where nations would have to come together and agree on. It would take an insane amount of, because it's concentrated power. I mean, either everybody has a word or a seat at the table to make sure that we're all in an agreement and we all have checks and balances in place.
But here's the thing, like, how do you stop someone from making advanced technology? You really can't unless you threaten them, I guess.
You can't, but that's what I'm saying. We would need to be smart about putting checks and balances in place.
But I believe Star Wars was, please don't quote me on any of this because I didn't research this at all, but I don't even remember where I heard it from, so I can't even give a source or anything, but I think what it was intended to do was as a defense against nuclear weapons. So let's say if we did build some kind of Star Wars-like system and then it's up and running, like, no one can say shit to us then, and then who cares about what people are saying at a table? Because it's like, we have it and we can deflect your nukes now, so who cares what you're saying? So that's always the problem with like really sufficiently advanced technology like that. It's like, unless you have a way to threaten someone to where they would have to listen to you, it's like they don't really have to ever listen to you. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what the UN or anybody says.
I think the politics might slow us down. This is one of those things where it might slow down the development. Because we might not reach an agreement of how to navigate this politically.
My prediction, I don't think it will, but I think the only thing that will slow us down is money, our ability to make it profitable. So I don't think politics is really going to have anything to play. If our companies think it's profitable to be in space and to do mining asteroids, they're going to do it. I don't see why they would ever be stopped politically.
I mean, some people might, but there are regulations in place and stuff to kind of.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, who cares about the regulation if you can just do it? Who's going to stop you from doing it?
People with guns, bro.
But if they have guns too, then it doesn't really matter.
I know. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it doesn't really matter what anybody says as long as you. Of course, like I'm not saying like Elon Musk or anybody has guns, but like if like America has interest and the government and the military want to go into space and do this stuff, then who's going to stop us?
Right. No. Yeah. I agree. It's just going to be interesting, and now that we're moving into Star Wars territory.
Okay.
Maybe
let the fun begin.
Let the fun begin. Let's talk about.
I saw a podcast with Eric Griffin and Bobby Lee's brother Steve Lee. Talking about Star Wars, and they were thrown down pretty hard. So
really,
yeah, they were in some big disagreement.
So what we're going to talk about now might be a serious point of contention between Terrence and I about the new Star Wars movie.
All right.
What is it called again? Rise of the Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker.
I thought that was that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the first one was Force Awakens, and then the second one was The Last Jedi. And then
you know better than me.
And then this third one is Rise of the Skywalker.
I've been asleep through half of these Star Wars, so I don't even know
that's probably
anymore.
why you didn't like it, man. Come on.
I'm just joking. I watched the whole thing, but I was really like, man, I should just sit back and go to sleep because this is fucking bullshit.
Really? Okay. Do you remember the movie? This is spoiler.
Yeah, I remember
alert.
a lot. I remember a lot of it. Yeah, if you haven't seen it by now, then you don't want to watch this section because we're going to start talking about.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick recap of the movie off the top of the dome.
Sure.
So the movie is coming off of the Last Jedi, where Luke actually sacrifices himself in some way to become a Force ghost, and not necessarily to defeat Kylo Ren.
Yep.
Why are you laughing at this?
Just imagining Luke as the Force ghost is already a little bit goofy to me, but that's okay.
To defeat, to not necessarily defeat, but to kind of fight back the Kylo Ren's forces and stuff. So, but this forces the rebels to. This gives the rebels a chance to pull back and retreat back to this planet where they're hiding out, and this is kind of like their last stronghold. And a lot of people are giving up because the Empire, I guess this new Empire or whatever, right? I don't know what they call themselves. I forget.
Palpatine's old buddies. I don't know.
Okay. You're getting ahead of it a little bit.
Okay, I don't know.
Palpatine and friends. They.
I don't know what they're. I honestly couldn't follow a lot of it.
Right. So yeah, they all recoup back to this home base, and like I said, a lot of people are giving up because the Empire seems insurmountable, and they're squashing any sort of rebellion or anything.
Yeah.
So, and if you saw The Last Jedi, they lose one of the big fighters, I think, right? This is where that famous slip space scene where this captain, like, she uses her ship to cut.
Oh, yeah.
It
seemed like it seemed like it didn't matter though. But anyway,
she made a sacrifice that didn't matter. Yeah, it kind of didn't, but because at the end of it, you really see how big the Empire's forces are.
And the rebel forces are apparently
right, but anyway. So we open up with a movie scene where I'm not trying to recap scene by scene, by the way, but I'm just trying to give you a sense of where the movie is kind of starting, and then Rey actually she's training. She's doing her training with a lightsaber and stuff, and then she's trying to get a sense of the Force and stuff while the what's his name, the supporting cast, I guess Finn and Poe and everybody else are trying to I guess fight people off or something.
I forget what they were doing.
So they're all doing that, and then basically they were like, okay, we need Rey, and then Rey meets up with them once she finds out that she needs to, how would you say? She needs to come in contact with the Sith object or something. It's like a Sith artifact or something.
Yeah. Some relic.
Yeah, some relic of the Sith, and so they need to, basically turns into a treasure hunt. And obstacle course, moving from
Star Wars National Treasure.
Yeah. So moving from location to location, trying to get all the pieces together, and then finding, and basically the movie hints that Palpatine is still alive.
Yeah.
and that he's the one, or he's
it doesn't really hint. It shows it. I
it.
mean, it's very blatant.
He's the one orchestrating this new empire, and he's the one motivating or pulling all the strings.
Yeah.
And so,
very nice synopsis there. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the end of the movie. I think that's the whole movie, pretty much. Like, if
of course, minus like what happened at the end and
I'm
stuff.
not giving details.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll get to it.
You gave a nice little exposition of what's going on with the plot.
Yeah, of course. At the
unravels
end of the movie,
it from there, or unfolds from there. I'll say.
Yeah,
although it does unravel, but I'll say unfolds to be generous.
Okay, so you're saying it unravels. Why?
I just had a lot of gripes with the movie, man. I mean, just
like
there were so many
or
points.
Storytelling. What do you mean?
Everything. I thought it felt like a giant Band-Aid on a shitty series.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Abrams was trying to fix a lot of the shit from the second one, which I think a lot of people agree with. The second one was probably just as bad, but the third one just wasn't good either. It seemed like they just ran out of ideas to me.
Really?
Yeah, because like the whole thing was, okay, so Palpatine is making a fleet with Star Destroyers that have planet-killing capabilities, and he has like 300 of these ships.
An insane amount of ships.
Yeah, an insane amount of ships.
As
and
far
to
as
me,
I
that
can
already
see.
is like, okay, so...
He's been building this up for years.
Yeah, how has he been building this
Decades.
up, and no one's heard about this? No one's been aware of this. The rebels didn't know shit about it. Why is Palpatine alive again? That's another question I had. Why is this guy back again?
Yeah.
It just felt so lazy to me. It just felt like such a lazy script of just like, well, we have no more ideas, so let's just say a Death Star on every ship. It's just like people were just throwing things in a hat, and then whatever got drawn, they just went with it.
I think they did a better job than I expected. That's kind of the problem. I went in with very little expectations.
Okay.
And so
I always have a little bit higher bar for Star Wars because I'm like, yeah, they can maybe be good for a normal movie, but like if you got the Star Wars name, you got to deliver something more.
I kind of was of the opinion that I did not see the Rey Palpatine storyline following, like, but spoiler alert, obviously, like
Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter or something.
Yeah. And
that was such a dumb
did not
thing
see that
to me.
coming. It was cool. I liked it.
You liked that?
I liked it.
It felt so ham-fisted. It's like, why is she Palpatine?
But why would she be anybody else?
But the thing is, like, why did she have to be anything related to Palpatine or anything? It just felt like another one of these things where they're like, okay, Luke is Vader's father, Kylo is Han's son, and Leia's son, so we need to still keep a family thing going on. So let's say Rey is Palpatine's daughter. But they wanted to make a surprising effect, but it just feels like a lazy trope at this point.
I don't know. I think it puts a nice bow at the end of this whole saga, because this is a Skywalker Palpatine saga, really. Like, you know what I mean? I think they wanted to have a duality of sorts, where it's like the Skywalkers versus the Palpatines.
I guess you could say that, but just there was no indicator for me to see why she needs to be Palpatine.
That's the issue, right?
Yeah, and then that seems just lazy to me. It's like, why does she need to be Palpatine? There was no indication that she needed to be Palpatine. Yeah. There was just no point for it besides that bow that is like an artificial bow.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good thematic bow to have, but the thing is, I think the execution is poor.
The execution was so poor. So it's like, if the execution is poor, you might as well not do it. That's my feeling. Okay, it's like need, if you're going to set something up, it needs to be done in an intelligent way.
But that's more of a problem with the way Disney set up the movie, the trilogies.
That's what I'm thinking too. So I can't really blame J.J. Abrams fully.
Yeah.
But I can just blame it as I just look at the collective series and blame it as it was just a fucked up series, because they should not have treated Star Wars that way. Like, if you're going to do Star Wars, a movie that has such a level of hype and such a level of storytelling, like, you need to go in with the right plan. Yeah. And if you just are going to soil that name and just do that, then I can't really fuck with the movie. Like, I don't know what else I can say about it.
It seems
I'm not going to be generous about it.
I see.
Because it has a higher bar.
Right. I can agree with you that they did treat this saga or this trilogy as a how would you say, piecewise.
Cash cow.
but piecewise too. So meaning that the first movie, it seemed like putting new directors on without any cohesive vision.
Yeah.
About where the story was going to go,
right?
Didn't make sense especially for a trilogy,
right? It's like if you're going to write a trilogy, write the fucking trilogy before you make the movies. Yeah. God damn it!
Yeah,
like you can't just write one movie then see, okay, this guy can write the other part.
Yeah,
that doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Not really.
I hate when people do that. It's like, and to not have that kind of foresight or just not that caring at all. Yeah. Like to me, it's just like. Forget it,
compare it to the saga that is the Infinity Saga with Marvel's, who was also owned by Disney,
and that was very well done, actually.
Yeah, no, they tied in 10 years worth of narrative.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. See, when you have a cohesive storyline, then it's a lot better. Like I don't even like Marvel movies, but I had respect for how they did that because at least everything was like, oh, you saw all these movies where they were getting the Infinity Stones were all tied to this movie, and it all culminated in this very
the climax of Thanos,
it's a climax of the whole series. So it's like that's what you call a satisfying movie and a satisfying series. If you're gonna do trilogies and illogies, I don't even know how many there were. So you gotta take into the fact that all of those movies have a connection. So the goodness of the movie also relies on the ones that came before it.
Right.
Which Star Wars, then I have to still take into account the previous two because it is a trilogy. So in order for this trilogy to be good, the other two have to be in line with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can probably see the movie, like as standalone movies, they don't make much sense. But if you were to complete them in a box set, like a saga, I guess they would kind of make sense, right?
Yeah. Even then, it's very loosely.
But it's still kind of disjointed. I see what you're saying because the more, like the second movie especially, the Rise of the Last Jedi is probably the one that throws a wrench in the whole thing.
Because the first one was like very promising. I was like, okay, we might be able to do something here.
Yeah.
Because the first movie, I felt like there was a lot of good that happened where I was like, man, this can go a lot of interesting ways. And these characters are very interesting to me. Like I liked Finn a lot. I even liked Rey too in the beginning. I thought Kylo was really cool. I thought he was probably the best done out of all of them in the series. And I was like, they have a lot to work with. Yeah. But it just didn't end up that way because it just was it changed hands and that was enough to kill it.
That's sad because I actually appreciate what Rian Johnson, the director of the second movie, was trying to do, which was he was trying to break the cycle in a sense of this whole Skywalker Palpatine thing.
In what way?
Because you remember how like Kylo Ren was saying to her like we can bring like order or something to this and like or a new order or something like that, or he was saying we can restore balance or something.
Okay.
And
by bringing Rey to the dark side?
Well, that's I guess intuitively I think that's what that movie takes a lot more dissecting because I think the way Rian Johnson wrote it, he made it seem like, especially killing what's that villain guy, Snoke, and making him look lesser. Yeah, I appreciate that though. I appreciate that because it said that you don't need, well, especially what Kylo was saying to Rey was saying that you don't need to be special to wield the Force.
That was so dumb.
You didn't like
me.
that?
No,
I like that.
I really hate Rey too because of her. I really don't like Rey. Rey's ability or her overpoweredness.
But her being a Palpatine explains that though.
It's such a weak explanation to me though because it's like you could say Anakin then should have been overpowered from birth, but he wasn't. Anakin had to go through training and actually be refined with a teacher and instructor, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. I'm talking about Anakin.
Oh, Anakin.
Because he was supposed to be the most powerful one in the Force.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So if he could just naturally do everything.
But
it's
his
like,
midichlorians were so high.
Yeah, exactly. But if you could just naturally do anything, what's the point of even having an instructor? Rey had literally no one teaching her to do anything. And this is actually, if you want to watch a good podcast with about talking about this, Eric Griffin and Steve Legan in this whole debate too about this, where their huge point of contention was with saying that Rey should have had Rey was okay being as powerful as she was.
Yeah.
And then Steve was saying that no, she shouldn't have. And I agree with Steve because it's like Rey just all of a sudden was able to do everything with no work.
But the way the narrative unfolds this plot is because there's a, what would you call it? Kylo and Rey are both like, how would you say? They have parity in a way.
Yeah.
Like they're what is it called?
Duality?
There's a duality.
Mm-hmm.
There's another word for it. But they have a duality of sorts where if one of them is stronger, then it needs to restore balance. Mm-hmm. And so the other one naturally is also kind of as strong in a way.
It was weak to me, though. It's like...
narratively speaking, I see what they were trying to go for, and I appreciate it, but I'm more sad about the execution. I'm more disappointed in the execution as opposed to the narrative.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I see what you're saying. But I had problems with both, though. It's just both. Because it's just bad. If you're going to be... At least if you have good narrative, it should still stand up just with the writing alone, right? And I thought even the writing was still pretty weak. It's just like you could have done it so much better. They could have done
Finn better, I think.
Finn had so much room for potential. I was like, man, this is like he could have been such an interesting character, but it was like they didn't know what to do with him. It seemed like
well, the Luke, the Skywalker and Palpatine saga, I guess, is interesting, but going back to like the first original trilogy from the 70s, I guess. I guess episode 4 through 6. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, they hinted that Han Solo was Force sensitive.
Did they really?
Yeah, because like Obi-Wan says, there's no such thing as luck. Like, in a sense, in that world where he's like, there's no such thing as luck, and Han is very lucky. In a lot of ways, he's very lucky, and so the movies.
That's a stretch, but
I'll give it to Spielberg because he made it in a way where you can infer that Han is Force sensitive in that way.
But Han didn't even need to be Force sensitive because Leia was already hinted as being Force sensitive, blatantly.
Yeah. Hers is more because she's a Skywalker. So it makes more sense.
So you're saying like, what's the point?
So the connection here is that Han is Force sensitive in the universe, meaning that if he was to develop it, he could become like a Jedi if he had wanted to.
Okay.
But the same with Finn. Finn was Force sensitive. At least it hinted at them in the movie.
Did it?
Yeah, especially this one.
I don't remember it hinting Finn.
It was badly done, but I'll have to say this.
Okay.
Because he was like, Rey, I feel. Remember, I think in this last one he was like saying, I feel whenever you're in trouble or something like that.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
So he has that. He feels that. He feels the Force and stuff inside of her, and he can,
Okay.
He can react to it. So it already tells you that he's Force.
I thought he was going to be feeling a lot more inside of her. Than just
yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, me too.
But then they were like, nah, we can't have this black dude and this white girl. Let's do it with an Asian girl.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we don't like this Asian girl. Let's just fuck up the whole romantic interest.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's really funny because how would you say there was a meme that said Kylo Ren, like the girl that. Like Kylo Ren got Finn got friend zoned because like Kylo Ren was like a fucking serial killer and stuff, and then Rey fell for the bad boy. So bad, that
was such a weird one too. I was like, why are Rey and Kylo Ren relationship seems so forced to me?
I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I was like, come on.
I didn't like them kissing.
No, it was weird.
Stupid.
Yeah,
because it felt more like a sibling thing.
Yeah, it's like they have more of a sibling connection than a romantic connection.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's very strange.
It was super strange. I didn't like that from the movie. But yeah, I think it would have been cool if they made Finn more of a like training to be a Jedi in a way, like taking advantage of the fact that he was Force sensitive.
Yeah, that's where I thought they were going to go in the first movie.
Yeah,
because he even picked up a lightsaber, and I was like, okay, this is just he's going to start doing some Force stuff. Maybe.
See, that's exactly what I wanted to see. An ex-stormtrooper.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool, right? The lowest guy on the rung becoming
a Jedi.
A Jedi, the highest tier.
Yeah. That would be insane.
Yeah.
But they didn't do anything with it.
No, that's why I don't like any of these movies.
What did you like about this saga, I guess? Like little things that you did. I kind
of like Kylo.
Right.
I thought he was
as a villain.
Kylo's like one of my favorite characters in the series, I think.
Yeah.
Just because I thought he was just very realistically done, and he wasn't like cliche. He wasn't a cliche role, like, because he was flawed in very realistic ways.
Mm-hmm.
I just liked how Kylo was. He wanted to be such a badass with the Force and such a guy who can embrace the dark side. He was forcing himself to go down the dark path, but he couldn't handle it. And I thought that was really interesting. He was very torn up by it.
Yeah.
He wasn't like in control at all of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And you could even see it, reflected in his lightsaber. How it was the rough lightsaber with the jagged edges and whatnot.
Edges.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought his character was really a cool character. And I even liked that he went to the light side at the end, because I thought that was what he was going to do the whole time.
So you don't like surprises, Terrence? I was like, you don't like surprises.
I like things that make sense. I like surprises as long as they're good, but when everything's a surprise because there's no exposition, then
I see.
I don't like that.
So you're saying there was an arc in place for him to come to the light side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it was there from the beginning is what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it should have been. Like, if you're going to have an arc or a story, these things need to be established early on, right? Or else they're just coming out of thin air. Like, why does Leia have force powers now? I mean, you can say she hinted in the old one, but maybe that's a bad example. But
they ham-fisted it in this one.
They ham-fisted the fuck out of a lot of stuff, man. And I mean, it's just so much stuff. It's hard to keep track of.
It's kind of sad because they mishandled Rey's storyline and not
very badly.
Not Kylo's. Kylo's was well executed, like you're saying.
I wouldn't say well executed, but it was the best one of all the characters.
Right.
Because the movie was still beyond saving, I thought, but at least they got to somewhat get Kylo in there with somewhat of a complete storyline.
No, but that's what I'm saying. His storyline makes
the most sense for anybody.
Because Rey's storyline doesn't.
No. Finn's was trash.
He was
just all over the place. Like, you don't know what he's gonna do. Rose was just completely just fucked over in the last movie. She had literally like one line, "Hi," and then she disappeared.
And then Poe. He's kind of also one of those.
He's just hanging around.
Yeah. He's not really They also botched it with that one very powerful looking stormtrooper, Captain Phasma.
I thought she got killed.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
but they made her to be like this. I guess it wasn't just to sell toys.
But she got killed in the first movie, didn't she? Yeah. But
people thought she was going to be more important. But they was just to sell toys.
I could have overlooked it if the movies were actually good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Man, that's so sad. But yeah, at the end of it all, I liked my favorite characters. I think are probably what's his name, Babu Frick.
Everybody loves Babu Frick.
Babu Frick was the best part of this whole trilogy. He put a bow on it, like he was just. That was he made the whole thing. He
was the toy sale.
Yeah. For reference, I guess Babu Frick is the guy they take, or the little creature they take C-3PO to go basically
get his brain surgery,
hack into C-3PO's firmware so that he can read out Sith what is it, runes
or something,
Sith scripture or something. And he makes all these, like, he talks like broken English, and it's kind of very like silly and stuff. It's great.
He's to sell toys to kids.
I'm a kid, okay? It's like I love.
He's the Baby Yoda of that series.
Yeah. And I actually like him more than Baby Yoda. So. But yeah, I liked him. I actually liked Poe Dameron's this movie more, the most. His character the most in this movie.
He's a little bit annoying to me. He's always been annoying to me because he's always so, let's just go and do it. Let's fight. I'm like, bro, have at least some logical framework of thinking.
No, but I liked that we got a better look at him as a character, I guess, like who he was. But they should have done that in the second movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they randomly introduced some new chick into him. It's like, why are there more characters now that I don't give a fuck about?
You don't do that in this last movie.
You don't do that.
You don't do that. Damn, that sucks.
So, man, I mean...
Look, and then my point is, why do you have to have a trilogy? Why does a trilogy have to be a thing?
It could be, as long as it's done right. Okay. Know what the trilogy is supposed to be. Don't just make shit up on the fly like it's the episode of Lost.
But that's how people feel about the original 1, 2, 3 episodes 1 through 3.
Those were actually thought out though. The storyline is cohesive.
No, Jar Jar Binks should have been a Sith Lord.
Oh, the first one.
The first 3.
Oh yeah, well those were
episode
garbage
1
too.
through 3.
Those are garbage too. So I can't.
I think this
those.
new saga is better than episode. No, I actually like episode 2 and
8
3.
or so.
Like out of the original ones, I like
No,
episode
I can't
2
get
and 3.
behind that.
I don't like episode 1. Episode 1 was horrible.
I didn't like 1, 2, or 3.
Really?
But this newer
I like
one,
Darth Maul. I like the fighting in the first 3.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. That's not a storyline.
Okay, fine.
Because I like Kylo Ren and shit too in this one,
Yeah.
but doesn't count. I liked the storyline the best of all the newish ones. The 1, 2, 3. I liked 7.
7 the most.
Yeah, 7 the most.
Okay.
Because that was like, oh, you actually had a twinkle in your eye to think it was actually going to go right.
Twinkle in your eye.
Yeah, it actually gave me a feeling that this might actually be good.
Might work out.
It made me think there might actually be hope.
Nice.
But actually, if I can really say the one I liked the most was Rogue One.
Oh, Rogue One was amazing.
That one was actually
Why does that
the
one
best
get shit on?
Does it?
It does. It gets flack, and I'm like that.
That
was
one
a
did
great
so many
movie.
right things, and it was
100%,
and it
man.
actually went above and beyond by
Yes.
even justifying some of the holes in the first Star Wars. And I'm
Yes.
like, all right, slow clap. That's how you do it.
It's amazing. Yeah. I liked it. I liked it because it introduced the Jedi in a realistic way.
Yeah.
Or the Force in a realistic way, where some people clearly didn't believe in it,
Right.
and some people did, and the people who did, and it made it more like a religion. It made it seem more like a religion,
Which is how the first ones were. Like nobody believed it because they don't have access to Jedis like that.
Yeah. And the people that did, like it kind of reestablished the world in a way that made it believable, and then the fact that there was such an insane price to pay.
Yeah.
For the value of like the liberty of the rebels and stuff, them having to make that big sacrifice, and then it leading to episode 1.
Yep.
Just
so much. It was so good, man.
Yeah,
so
it
many
was
right
amazing.
things.
Yeah.
I have a theory that when they do storylines that are offshoots is much better than doing storylines that are along the linear trajectory.
I think I would.
When
agree
you do
with
storylines along the linear trajectory, you keep rehashing the same plot. And you're trying to make it epic as fuck, but that can only be rehashed so many times that you can't really come up with a new storyline.
Yeah,
and you can clearly see that with these last ones, with them just saying, "Okay, let's make 300 planet-killing ships."
Yeah,
because they're just trying to rehash the same storyline. You can't keep doing that. So when they do offshoots, those are a lot better. Although I know Solo, I heard was not good. I didn't see.
I watched it.
Was it good?
It was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
was
offshoots, I think I like better than main storyline stuff.
They're a lot more solid.
It gives people more freedom to actually do new shit and to make storylines that are original instead of having to do the epic mainstream, fit everything in one storyline and try to make it interesting, even though you've already done it 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, it was. All the solo movies, I guess. Like, so I mean it like the offhand movies, like Solo and
Rogue One.
Rogue One. They're pretty well done.
Rogue One was cool.
Solid.
Yeah.
I'd recommend watching them if you're hesitant. If you were or had hesitations about watching those,
I'll watch Solo now.
At least an 8 out of 10. For those movies. Yeah, and a lot of the new ones, I think they, like you're saying, they hold a lot of narrative weight because they have to.
Right.
They have to carry that.
When you're doing a
load.
mainstream storyline, you have to like do the twist. You have to have the love interest. You have to have the main characters, the comedic relief. You have to have the main protagonist. It's like it has to be so formulaic that you can only rehash that so many times. Like there's only so many things you can do.
Yeah. Well, dang.
So
I mean, it's okay. I know they're going to try to start a new saga again at some point, probably.
I'm over it. I'm so over
Star Wars?
I'm so over it, man.
Really?
It's gotten to Marvel territory for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually enjoy Marvel movies though.
I'm just sick of seeing all the movies that I like and the what do you call it, the
storylines,
the universes that I like being destroyed by companies. Like I've already lost Terminator, now I've lost Star Wars.
Yeah.
Probably gonna lose Matrix soon here in a bit.
Why they're making a new Matrix?
They're making a Matrix 4.
Oh, wow.
That could have potential though. 4 is a number of safety right now because it's only just beginning and they didn't say they're making a trilogy.
Yeah.
So and it's also the original creators doing it.
Oh, the twins.
Yes. the
They're now
Wachowski
women.
sisters now.
Sisters now, yeah.
Yeah. I think it might just be one though now.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
You said the other one likes to copy the other twin.
I don't
think
know.
you were the one who told me that.
No, I don't know if I did.
Oh,
but
okay.
I was just saying it was weird because they both transitioned.
Yeah,
Maybe I was saying because they were the Wachowski brothers, but then one became transgender, but then the other one became transgender. I'm like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Literally 50-50 at this point.
But yeah, so maybe it will be good. If that's good, then I'll have a last franchise to hold on that I like, and then maybe I'll have some joy in my movie watching experiences. Until then, I'll just use all my excitement for Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. I guess so.
That's about the only person whose movies I get excited for anymore.
Or what, Christopher Nolan? You don't feel like that?
No.
Really?
I don't think he's at the same level as Tarantino to me. Because
No,
I can
probably
always
not.
pick out flaws with Nolan movies that I was like, that's pretty good, but it's always solid as fuck,
Oh, no,
right?
yeah, Nolan is great.
Yeah, it's solid as fuck.
Yeah.
But there's always like as you can think of like the last Batman movie, let's say, right? Like with Bane.
No.
With
Don't
Bane,
use that
I mean.
one.
But that's a Nolan movie.
It is.
Think of
It was okay.
But think of the Tarantino log. I literally cannot name a movie that I disliked of Tarantino's.
Okay, fair enough.
With Nolan, I was like, like the Batman with Bane just getting killed by Catwoman at the end was just such a stupid way to end.
Yeah.
The second Batman, what was that one?
That's The Dark Knight Rises.
That's the Joker one.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I think there was some flaws.
That's the most critically acclaimed.
Yeah, but I didn't like
superhero
the
movie.
ham-fisting of a million villains in one movie with Harvey Dent being in
I
there.
see. Yeah,
that didn't need to be in there.
It was really long. I remember watching it in
was
theaters
unnecessarily
and
long.
dang, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Wow.
You didn't need Two-Face.
Yeah.
The first one was probably the best one to me.
Shut up.
You didn't like the first one?
I did not like the first one.
Comparatively to the other two.
The second one.
To the Joker
second
one.
one was the best one in my opinion. Despite it being so long.
I like the naivety of the first one because it was fresh and new and he didn't really know what he was going to do yet. So it was very like he I felt like his creative juices were just more. When people start things out, it's usually stronger, I feel like.
I mean, yeah, that's more.
So I like the first one.
That's the case with bands too, but like you know.
I feel like that's mostly the case with any art or creativity.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So I like the first one. I like that one.
Yeah.
But I did like the second one and the third one a lot. I'm just saying that there's pieces that I can pick out that I really didn't like.
I see.
Like with a Tarantino movie though, for example, there's nothing in his movies that I'm like, that really is kind of dumb.
Yeah. I want to see a Tarantino Star Wars movie.
Dude, I want to see a Tarantino sci-fi in general, just any kind of sci-fi. But I feel like it would probably be bad.
He doesn't like sci-fi, right?
He does, but I don't think he said that the only sci-fi that he can write is something that's like a Star Trek.
Oh,
which makes sense to me, right? Because it's more of like a dialogue movie.
Yeah, they would make a space N-word. He would have to come up with something.
Space N-word.
He would have to come up with something.
Right.
Just this so he could use it in the movie.
That's great. On that note, we should leave it on that.
Yeah. All right, folks. Thank you for listening.
Stay tuned for the outro, folks.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
For making it this long.
A little longer than usual.
A little longer than usual, but we have leave a comment about which maybe Star Wars movie trilogy you liked best.
That's a good one. We forgot to give a question.
Yeah, we did. But which Star Wars trilogy you liked best, or maybe if you're even thinking about becoming a space mining capitalist in the future, or maybe even just putting on your space mining hat. And your lamp.
Watch it, Miner. What's that game? Red Faction?
Yeah, Red Faction. Yeah. And yeah, just or even what maybe if you like Quentin Tarantino, what do you think he would? What kind of sci-fi series he should lead?
Trilogy of questions.
Yeah.
Very appropriate for this episode.
Perfect. And leave a like, comment, subscribe.
Share. You always forget share.
Sharing is caring. That's the most important thing, actually.
Yes, and then also, guys, check out the website, Eigenbros.com. Check out our cool math integrals we just added on there. Also, check out the Twitter, at Eigenbros. Check out the TikTok, Eigenbros2. And then also check out the Instagram, which is at Eigenbros as well. And we will see you guys next episode.